Excuse me. Okay, we're at Oshkosh 2021. We have home built parking here. We got a Zenith 801, and there's some other Zeniths around here. Happen to be quite a few of them with Viking engines. And now we're running across one here, a beautiful airplane, and it has a Viking engine. And since we're Viking aircraft engines, we approached the owner and asked him if he'd be willing to just talk a little bit about his experience building the Zenith airplane and what kind of paint and instrumentation and engine he used, and how this airplane now is flying, and what his feelings are about flying into Oshkosh. And your name, sir?
My name is Phil Cook.
All right, Phil, tell us a little bit about your experience building the plane and why you built it and why you chose this engine and your avionics, and I see you used a wrap instead of a paint.
Yep. So all kind of unique perspectives on it, but I needed a plane that I could fly into my short cottage grass airstrip, a 1,000-foot grass airstrip, and a tunnel of trees with trees at both ends. Something capable that would do that, but it doesn't need no extreme stall capability, so I just chose the Zenith design. It was fantastic, and it came time to choose an engine, and of course, you know, looking at knowing people who have had Rotaxes, and they seem a little bit finicky in the way they run, and I ran into Jan and his crew there at Viking, and I was pretty impressed by what I saw. Having a number of Honda motorcycles myself, I know how reliable those engines are, including on the cars, and so I was really intrigued and bought the engine to go with the airframe, and it was a fantastic install. Got the full firewall forward kit. Everything fit very nicely. Compared to what people I know and how long it took them to install their engines, it was far shorter than their engine installs, with no baffling that you had to worry about. The only custom part would be where to put the radiator and how to attach it. So that all went straightforward, and a relatively short time frame to get that installed. Since then, since I got the plane finished and have been flying on that Viking engine, it's been fantastic. The power is amazing. I climb out of my airstrip, and everybody's still amazed at how fast I'm climbed out of the pattern. I'm at pattern altitude easily within halfway down the runway length on just a 4,500 foot runway, so it gets up there and goes. And top speed's been great, especially on the Cruzer, 105 true airspeed at 4,900 RPMs, about 4.9 gallons an hour. So been extremely happy with the performance on that side. Engine temperature's under control. I fly it from anywhere from -15 in the wintertime to it was a high 90s or mid 90s and high humidity yesterday when I came over. Engine temps have been fantastic.
And you cruise in knots.
I'm cruising in knots, yes,
Yeah.
so 105 true knots. So, yep. And I wish my ground speed were that, but winds were far against me yesterday, so not quite that fast, about 70 knot ground speed, but oh well, that's the way it goes.
Tell us about your paint. This has got let me get a little filming of your what looks like paint and how beautiful the airplane looks, and then I want to hear a little bit from you about how that all came along.
Sure. Well, I wanted a more complex design. I hated painting, the whole overspray and masking and buffing it out and all that, and so looking for good alternatives. And got to looking into vinyl. As it turns out, a good friend of mine owned a vinyl shop, and he does a lot of professional vinyl wrapping. And so he showed me some pieces. I said, well, let's do mine. And so him and his team came out. I made the initial design. Okay, I copied the Air Force Thunderbirds. I'm an Air Force veteran. It all kind of went together. So a whole story beyond that, but decided on this scheme. They refined it, added some touches to it, printed it all out, and wrapped it up. And it has been a fantastic, absolutely amazing job. Covered all the rivets without any bubbles over them, and been very smooth, very easy to maintain. Buttons wipe right off, oil wipes no oil, but soot, any other dirt from the forest fires flying over, all the dirt that accumulated, and the soot from the forest fires. Once you're flying high, it shows up on the wings and just wipes right off.
So this is all vinyl. Even all this white that we're seeing as a base is also vinyl?
Well, it's the white is the vinyl, and all the colors are printed on it. So there are no like there's no red vinyl or blue vinyl on it. It's all printed on top of the white.
I think that's something that's important for people that might not know that. So the vinyl that's on, let's say, this wheel pant here is all one print and one installation, not 3 or 4 different pieces.
Right. So they lay it out on a computer, they template it, and then pull the templates off and put it on a grid and shoot it from overhead and lay it, and the computer lays it out so that when it gets wrapped and stretched, it actually keeps the lines straight the way they're supposed to be. So.
Very interesting.
And then the best part about it, of course, is it completely seals all of the aluminum joints, so it's all right over the top of them, and so it's far more watertight than it would be with just paint. So.
Now back to what we supply, which would be the Viking engine. You have the 130 horsepower engine, and how many hours now?
75 hours on it. So.
Using a lot of oil?
None. Just like, I mean, in 75 hours, I think, because I changed the oil at 50, I think I put half a quart in. So.
And how do you operate the engine? What kind of RPMs are you running? And
typically, so takeoff is about 5,200 RPM. Is about what I max out at, because I like to take off at its max performance. That's always so much fun. So
and how does that feel like for people that ask, well, that sounds like a lot of RPM. How does that feel in an airplane?
Oh, it's extremely smooth. Yeah, it just doesn't sound any different. My neighbor has a Rotax in his, so you know they sound from an RPM perspective are about the same. But I go a lot faster than he does in his Rotax. So, and just silky smooth. Cruise at about, like I said, between 4,800. I don't know, I'll go between 4,600 and 4,900 depending on how fast I want to get someplace or how slow I want to go. Again, just silky smooth throughout all RPM ranges.
How about the noise level of the engine?
People can hardly tell it's running. In fact, the line guy, he drove me in, he said, you must have one of those Viking engines. And I said, why? He said, I couldn't even hear you run it. I didn't know if you were behind me at all. So I had to keep looking to see if you were there. So
sounds scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being our customer, and enjoy the rest of Oshkosh and the flight back home. And where's home?
Home is in Zeeland, Michigan, just west of Grand Rapids, where I own a flight school, Levion Aero, and that's my flight school there.
Let's see your flight school.
Yeah.
All right.
And if anybody, I am a CFI, and I have my LOTA for teaching in Zenith 750 cruisers. So if anybody needs instruction in 750 cruisers, I'm fully available. So.
That is a wonderful piece of information, because we always get questions about that.
Okay.
Where they can get transition training or any other kind of Zenith training.
Right.
And of course, you built your plane, you installed your engine, and you can teach in Zenith airplanes.
I can teach in Zenith airplanes, not in mine specifically because I can't rent for it, but I could give some people familiarization flights and all that. So
very good. That's great news. All right. Well, thanks again.
All right. Thank you.